you and I are people that we love to celebrate things, and I feel like by the time we left, the job we were in became a bit of a fixed mindset. Change was scary. Even though it would make our lives easier,
Hmm.
the change scared them. And I remember you and I feeling trapped and feeling like we could make our lives easier and be more productive, but because the upper management didn't like it, we were held back. And essentially it became a thing where people started leaving. You would take on more work just to keep things going, and then it became your job. And within the fixed mindset, because a job was taken care of, a company sees that as, well, problem solved. Why would we hire somebody? Why would we spend more money on another person if other people are taking care of it? It's fine. And I think the hard thing with a lot of big companies that do have a fixed mindset is that a lot of the times too, employees are told that they've done something wrong. And if they've tried something new and it didn't turn out well, you were disciplined. So then people didn't want to try new things because what if something went wrong? Then your job would be in jeopardy. Where you and I, we've always been people to praise people for what they've done. Even if it is their job, the fact that they did a great job, I want to let them know that I appreciate it. And I feel like a lot of companies now too focus on the things that their employees do wrong. And that is a thing that I really, really struggled with because I remember doing evaluations and being with other people and hearing them say all these negative things that a person did. But then I remember being that only person to say, yeah, those were some bad things, but they did this, which was incredible. They did this, which really helped me. When I joined them for this, they really took a lead. And then that's when I realized they don't care what you do. They're only noticing the things that you do wrong. And I that's a thing that I really struggle with a company. And it's always scary to try new things because if it doesn't go well, then your job's on the line.
I was actually thinking exactly that about the performance reviews. That actually everything you said, that's what came to my mind because ultimately, like your entire job, essentially, you're being told a bunch of stuff you did wrong. Like there's no like I know even there's days that I think it's administrative day. I know they have those where they're supposed to show appreciation or whatever. But I feel like the amount of times you're told of all these things that you've done wrong and things that you shouldn't have done is I feel like in a lot of places and a lot of companies it's more often that it's like you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you shouldn't have done this. And I know I've talked to so many people where it's the case and it doesn't have to be like that. And I feel like a performance review is an amazing example because ultimately that's exactly it. And we are the type to celebrate everything. And even if it is like, yeah, you're doing your job, but yeah, you've done it for this many years, like that should be celebrated. Like there's so much to celebrate in life. And I feel like so many people, they don't celebrate enough. And I feel like because if you're being told that around you and your job and anywhere in your environment you're being told of all these things that you're being doing wrong, then that is what's going to leave you at night. That is everything that you're going to be thinking about is I did this wrong. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, I feel guilty because of this. And then all of a sudden, all these racing things that are in your mind as you go to sleep, that's all you're thinking about just so you can wake up the next morning and do it all over again.
It's true. And ultimately it's a pretty toxic environment to be in. Like everyone being told that they're doing something wrong, and then you're kind of wondering, what am I doing wrong? And I think the hard part is that eventually, and this is how I felt, was eventually I was getting to the point where it's like, why am I even trying? Like, why am I putting this much effort in when you and I actually didn't get our reviews because we left? But I've always been curious because I feel like in the review I would have had to have something wrong, but I know I busted my ass off for them. I put in endless hours. And at the same time, I knew I didn't want to actually have one because if I did and I was told of something negative, I would have just been torn apart, especially because I was told to go on a stress leave. My blood pressure was through the roof, that at the age of
Uh-huh.
27 at that time,
Yeah.
I was at risk of actually having a heart attack. And that's because of the amount of stress. And as soon as I left, it kind of disappeared. I didn't have that stress. My blood pressure decreased, and then it got to a point where every time I thought about that place, I could feel my blood pressure rising. It's like, no, I had to block them from social media because everything about them made me so angry. And that was a great sign afterwards that you made the right decision. And
I
I
was
know
actually
it's
gonna,
scary.
yeah, I was actually gonna ask you about your blood pressure.
Yeah, I haven't had any problems. I feel like even now, I feel like my blood pressure is rising. Even though I'm over everything, I feel like I've gotten to a point where I've moved on, but I feel like I'm getting back to like remembering. It was really talking about the the reviews. Honestly, if I was there and I had a bad review, oh my god, I would have
I could see your
lost.
face be like that. Yeah, you could tell that was the moment. Be like thinking about what it was.
I know they would have told me something,
Yeah, probably.
but it's just like, what the fuck? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
I
no, they
think
both.
I think if I didn't quit and I had a bad review, I would have quit right then. Be like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. And I really feel like I would have walked out at that point.
There's always a reason as to why they can't give you something. There, you can't give you a raise because you did this wrong. We can't give you this because of the X, Y, and Z. And there's always a reason at all times.
You always know that a company or a leader is kind of sketchy when they don't want you to talk to other staff. That is the secret. If you are told that you can't talk to anybody else, there's something sketchy going on behind the scenes. Because realistically, by people talking, that's how we learned that there was a lot of injustice happening. And that's where I really struggle, is that honestly, it was a great learning opportunity for me. And I am very thankful of the opportunities I had. I was able to go to New York to and go to a United Nations conference and be in the United Nations General Assembly and see ex-President Clinton speaking. That was such an interesting thing to get to try. Same with going to Ecuador. Like those were really incredible things that I would never regret. And the amount of people I met along the way, I am so thankful for all of those kind people I met. But at the same time, I got to a point where I felt like I wasn't learning or growing anymore. And that was the biggest thing for me, was that I kind of got scared of my life being boring and being the same thing over and over again, and only getting 2 weeks out of a year off, but you're scared to take that time off, or you can't really do anything within that time. So it was an easy decision, essentially.
I know it's scary at the time. So anybody right now that's struggling and maybe you're not at a job that you love, and I feel like if you're looking to take that leap, I feel like if you focus on your why, for me, my why was my daughter. I feel like it made it a lot easier when you focus on your why because all of a sudden everything else doesn't really matter. It almost when you're scared because change is scary. I am terrified of change. I way more terrified than you, Chelsea. I feel like you're like, yeah, I'm gonna hit change right
Yeah.
off. Like you're like love change. For me, I will go forward with the change, go forward in fear. So I get it. Any of those people like that are like me the same way, terrified of change. That's me. And in order for me to get past that, because if you're anything like me, there has to be a change. You need it. You just need to that little push to do it is focusing on your why. Because when I started focusing on my daughter and spending more time, I really started to think, what do I want in 30 years from now? Do I want to look back at my life and think, I was there for my daughter. I was there for everything. I was able to be pick her up from school, everything that I imagined. Or do I want the life to be like, you know what? I loved my 9 to 5 job. And, both answers are because if you love your job, and I remember loving my job. So if that is you, that, because everybody is so different with what they want. But for me, it was, I struggled with pregnancy. I lost my son, and I feel like because of that experience that I had, it was so important for me to just be able to spend every minute with her while she would, so I feel like for me, quitting, that was a huge thing. And we started our business, Chelsea, before COVID, and I feel like COVID just made it like, I feel like completely like skyrocket. But I feel like those out there that are struggling, I feel like I hope that we're giving them, like, a sense of inspiration and hope to know that they can do it. And sometimes it is taking that leap of faith if you are ready for it and you trust your gut feeling, is another thing that Chelsea and I go off of. If you trust your gut feeling, if you feel like it's the right time, then everything else will just align with where you're supposed to be.
One thing you can do, so if you feel like your job doesn't serve you a purpose anymore, start looking for other opportunities. And if you can't find opportunities that get you excited, then start finding a hobby that brings you joy. And maybe from there, if you're ambitious and you want to try doing your own thing, then take that leap of faith. Take that hobby, monetize it, and start living your dream life, because I do not have any regrets about leaving. And I know I was in shock when I did quit, but never did I regret it. At no point did I say this was a wrong decision.
Exactly. In the same way. I remember being completely shocked, very shocked when we quit, because any change is shocking. But yeah, definitely don't regret it. And I feel like it's times like that when you push yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone for that change, whether it be applying for a new job, getting a hobby, monetizing what your hobby already is. All of those options are so many options for you right now. And my advice is focusing on your why and start asking yourself more questions about, what do you want in your life? What do you hope 30, 40 years from now, and you're looking back at your life? What do you want to accomplish? Because I know that for me, it's important to not live with any regrets. I don't want to be 30 years from now thinking, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done this, I wish it, I don't want to live that. And I feel like, I want to, and I feel like you're the same. And I feel like I feel like, just being able to encourage others that, they can have their dream life, they can have everything that they want.
Basically, stop listening to what other people are saying and trust your own judgment. You
Yeah.
know what's best for you, not the other. So if you feel like you need to quit your job, then go for it and trust that the universe will have your back. When you take that leap of faith, it's there for you and you're never going to feel like it was a wrong decision, especially if you're at that point where you don't want to be there anymore.